Okay, so how do you use goal balancing in natural bioenergetics?
We do it very differently. We don't call it goal balancing. For us, a balance is quite different than for what Touch for Health based programs do. We come at it more from balance means all 7 major pairs of the meridians are running in complete circuits and running in the right direction and not over energy or under energy. So to us, balance means the meridian system is functioning. And that's the first thing we do, is we work on that, and we have a balancing process that takes anywhere from a couple of minutes to, could be 15, 20, 30 minutes if their meridian system is really messed up. But we get the meridian system running first.
Okay.
All the circuits are running, and that's what we call a balance. And then we do the work, which are all the corrections. So our system comes at it quite differently. Once we have the meridian system running and the person is balanced by our definition, then we look for an issue title, and that would be the equivalent of what your goal balance is. We do an issue title, and that issue title is done through muscle monitoring and word lists and verbal questioning, all of which you can use after you have the meridian system working, most of which don't work before the meridian system is working. So we then create a issue title, and that can be, we have a variety of different ways of doing it. We have sometimes what was called the client specified title, where the client comes in and says, I want to work on this. And then we work out exactly how their body wants to state what that is.
Okay.
So it could be something like normalizing my hormone system, or could be reduce inflammation in the bruise from my fall, or whatever their body wants, right? So that's a client specified issue where they come in with something that they want to work on. Other times we do what we call an MB tested issue, where we test which system their body wants to work in. So whether it would be a physical system, an emotional system, a spiritual system, a meridian system, an other system, so kind of the big core chunks, and then work our way down to exactly how the body wants to identify what it is the body wants to work on. So that's working really in body priority rather than conscious priority. Mm-hmm. The client specified is more conscious priority. This is much more of a subconscious priority, with the body saying, this is where I need help. Okay. And then we work down, and sometimes it's a fairly general title, and sometimes it's a very specific title. It can be, right down to something like adjusting the level of my blood pressure. I mean, it can be my place in the world, right? It can be sort of whatever their body wants is feeling as priority. Another way that we can approach that is what we call through a bioflow analysis, which we would title in a similar way, and that is working in the subtle bodies as opposed to in the physical. And so then we would, again, using our word lists and our muscle monitoring response, come up with exactly how they want to title what the work is going to be. And once we've worked out a title, it doesn't matter which of the 3 processes we use, we then ask the questions, is this specific enough, and is this general enough? That you pick up as much as you can, but you're specific to where you want to be, but you're as general as you can be without losing the focus, to pick up as many things as possible. And then from there, we work through all the various different correction possibilities and figure out exactly what the body wants to do and do all the work. And for us, doing all that work then entails holding the meridian points in some way. So all of our corrections, whether they're a psychological or a physical or in the biofield or in the sensory energy connections, or we have many different categories that we can work from, all come down to identify the stress, where it is affecting the body, figure out what word, thought, frequency, color, whatever it is that the body needs to be able to neutralize or adjust or reset, reprogram that stress, and then hold the meridian points that are indicated until the meridian system can maintain the new frequency without blowing it out when they think or are exposed to whatever the stressor was that set it on.
Okay, that makes sense. So do you have it that if a client sometimes comes in with, say, sort of more of a conscious agenda, that the body will sometimes go, it's great that the client wants to work on this, but the body actually has a priority agenda. Do you have to check that? Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. We always ask, if somebody comes with a client specified issue and says, can I work on this? We balance them first, and then we ask the body, is it in the best interest of the client to work on the client specified issue, or is there something else that they need to deal with first before we can deal with that?
Mm-hmm.
Because often their conscious choice is a good thing to work on, but there may be subconscious pieces that need to be in place before we can achieve that. And so then the body will say, we need to do this first in order to achieve that. So then we'll work from the more subconscious process at the beginning, and then usually it manages to affect what their conscious choice was anyway. Mm-hmm. But other times they can be quite disconnected because the client has something in their head and is quite disconnected from what's going on in the body. And the body goes, no, I want help, I want to hear, and I want it now. And then you kind of have to go with what the body says.
Yeah. Okay. How do you address, say, sabotages to goals? So if it's a conscious goal, how do you does this come up then through your protocol, the sabotages that someone can have on their goals?
Yes, that is a part of the process. The protocol looks at what are the things that would interfere with the person achieving that goal, and so then those subconscious sabotage things will come up as corrections towards the goal.
Okay. And one of the, depending on the modality that you use, some people will use a specific muscle for their indicator muscle. Is there one in natural bioenergetics that you sort of use because it's more connected to the brain, or is more connected to, like, say, supraspinatus, or some people will always use anterior deltoid, some people will use the leg because it doesn't wear out as easily as an arm muscle? Is there one that you prefer using?
No, we can use any of the indicator muscles. It really doesn't matter. We often use different indicator muscles, or we can also self-test. We can substitute test. We can surrogate test. We have a variety of different ways of accessing the information. And we often change muscles depending on what we're working on or where we're working. So if they're standing up, we might use one muscle. If they're sitting, we might use a different one. If they're laying, we might do another one. If we're working the more psychological areas, they're likely to be laying on a massage table, and then so we would use the brachioradialis just because it's convenient and easy and doesn't wear out very fast. In our understanding, the connection of the muscle to the meridian is useful information for many things, but it doesn't make a difference for the indicator muscle. All muscles should indicate the same information, no matter which muscle you're using.
Okay. How important is, like, I know that you said that goal balancing isn't something that you necessarily call it in natural bioenergetics, but after you've balanced the body, and if you are using sort of more of a conscious goal balancing, in your opinion, how important is it in a balance? Like, I know that you've also said that sometimes you do it more from a body agenda. So do you notice that when someone has set up their goal properly, that it helps them move forward a lot better? Or, like, how important do you find goal balancing, well, what we would call, sort of goal balancing, or like a verbal statement?
I think it's very important, but I think it's more important in the sense that what we're after is to allow the subconscious processing to happen and then come out through the conscious and allow them to integrate it into their everyday life. And that's kind of the point at which it accesses their everyday life. And so, particularly if we're working in a client-specified issue, then it would be very important. When we're working in the more subconscious ones, often the title will be very significantly important to them. and they recognize that that is sort of the underline of what they had thought they wanted when they came in. And we will often, in setting the title process, we take all the things they say at the beginning and we work it out. Is this general enough? Is this specific enough? And then we'll test which of their conscious concerns are included in this. And we'll identify which of their conscious concerns are being addressed by that more subconscious issue. And so it helps them to correlate the two together. And it also helps us to know where there may be other work that needs to be done to address the other parts of the issue that maybe aren't being included in that particular session. And so the concept that at some point the subconscious work done in the muscles and in the body and in the biofield need to come up with their conscious process in some way is definitely a part of our protocol, but it varies a little bit. It may be that we pick it up that way. It may be just the titling process that we use that affirm and recognize that. And we always go at the end and then test whether that title is now strong for us. Or it may be that at the end we will work out some kind of an affirmation or an affirmation that they will use at home afterwards to help that integration process into their conscious.
Okay. Sorry. Is there any questions that maybe I haven't asked that you would want to explain how Natural Bioenergetics approaches sort of goal balancing, or as what we know it, differently compared to maybe something that I've missed?
Yeah, I think that from our perspective, goal balancing is really about the conscious side of the work. And as much as the conscious side of the work is where the person often comes in from, we want to help them recognize that the unconscious part is often more important because the conscious part comes from the unconscious part. And so we do a lot of work around removing the unconscious stress that prevents them from responding appropriately. And many times we see people who kind of plan in their head exactly how they're going to handle a particular situation. They practice the words in their head. They know what they want to say. And they get into the situation and that all just goes straight out of their head and all the emotions come flying out. And it's because the subconscious didn't connect to what they were doing in their head. And so what our goal is to go in and remove those subconscious barriers so that their conscious process will be more under their control. And so for us, the goal balancing is about removing the impediments to their conscious processing so that they can actually take control of their emotions. And so for us, it really kind of goal balancing is really more about what's going on subconsciously, or what's stuck in the muscles, or what's stuck energetically somewhere that sabotages and prevents their goals from being met when they're working on them.
Okay. And then I just kind of had, we're coming to the new year, and a lot of people will do New Year's resolutions, which a lot of people don't prepare properly for. Like a lot of them have it that, it's kind of the running joke that, by mid-February, most people have dropped their New Year's resolutions. Are there any statements that, as practitioners, or even as individuals, that you would say are common ones to help us, move forward into, in general, achieving those goals that we want to set out for? Like sometimes we'll have certain beliefs that, block us. And I'm just wondering if there's a couple statements that, as practitioners or as individuals, that we can, try and use for ourselves that, kind of come up and say, hey, well, even though it's a fairly general statement, you can modify it to make it specific enough for you.
Yes, and we certainly encourage our students and practitioners to muscle monitor any goals they make like that and adjust them according to muscle monitoring. We encourage them to have somebody else do it for them because we can't see our own blind spots. We don't know our own, we don't know where we're sabotaging ourselves. If we knew, we wouldn't do it, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So we encourage them to find a partner and do them for each other. The other thing that we do is we encourage people to take your goal statement and find the subconscious affirmation question to put with it, because your conscious mind is working on one level of it, in the sort of statement level of it, but subconsciously, if you ask your body to solve a problem, it will go looking for that answer until it finds it. And so if you state it in the form of a question and then just kind of let it go without trying to consciously solve the issue, the body will bring to your awareness and bring up to you the solutions for you. And so if you take your statement and then also add to that a question that your subconscious can work on at the same time, then you get your conscious and your subconscious working together to solve the problem, and you're much more likely to actually achieve your goals.
Yeah, very cool. That's very interesting how, we can sort of program ourselves to sort of answer our own questions to, that it's kind of like, because we're so taught to kind of like, well, when you have a problem, you just got to keep hammering at it until you find the answer. Whereas subconsciously, we can just set ourselves up to be able to do that. And that, you have it, that process on itself works its way. Yeah, that's very neat.
And from our perspective, there's no point in sort of setting a goal and kind of like an affirmation, a statement, and saying it every day and thinking that your body is going to just naturally do that if that statement is stressful to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to do the work with the gradient system to take the stress off of that statement so that when you say it, it's not stressful, and then your body can actually do it. Otherwise, it's just creating resistance to it.
Yeah.
So we will often do corrections around those kinds of statements to ensure that when they go home and actually use them, they're enhancing their energy flow instead of creating resistance to the energy flow.
Okay. No, this is good. Thank you. I hope I haven't missed anything. I really enjoyed this, talking about it from a natural bioenergetics standpoint. And I think we'll be putting this this video together in the newsletter. So hopefully you guys all get to look forward to this. So
sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking. It's been fun thinking about it, because when you said, about goal balance, it was like, how am I going to explain the differences between how we do it and you? So I spent a couple of days trying to put words into it. So I'm glad it makes sense to you.
Yeah, no.
I hope I got it right.
Yeah, this is really good. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you.
And do you want to just maybe put the name, say the name of your company or your business, and just give us that information and where you're located?
I work under Easthouse Natural Health. Officially, I'm located in Calgary. Unofficially, I'm located wherever my computer is. Mm-hmm. I do most of my sessions by Zoom. I do a number of in-person clients where I'm traveling. I teach all over Western Canada and online. And so anyone who wants a session, I'm thrilled to do it. And Zoom works just fine for all the work we do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Linda.